Okay, so basically, I'm just going to start recording now. To go about searching for jobs, first and foremost, do you want me to go through the entire information so that I can know how to, answer your question? Okay, so first. Right, okay, so first, guys, we're talking about getting jobs in the US, in the UK, the Middle East, Canada, and Europe. This process is the same, okay? So first, what's your profile? You want to work as a teacher, you're trying to get a job as a teacher. What's your profile? Your profile in terms of your education. Okay, you may have said you studied zoology, maybe not education, maybe you've done food technology, or you've done something that's outside education. Do you have a diploma in education or a PGCEI in education? Okay, you don't have all that, for example. At least have a certificate or a certification that shows that you have done a training. It could be teaching English as a foreign language, although the market is really high now for people teaching English as a foreign language because Nigeria is not rated as a native speaking country. So a lot of people may come from Nigeria, from Ghana, from a lot of countries, aside South Africa in Africa, that is recorded as a native speaking country. So the market, I'm not saying it's not achievable, but it's the what's it called? The audience looking for jobs in that region or in that area is much. They'll rather hire someone who is maybe a 19-year-old and would like to teach English and doesn't have a degree, maybe from England or from America, from Canada, from Australia, to teach English than you who has a degree and has done the teaching English as a foreign language. So it's a bit, and now if you want to even teach English as even whether a foreign language or a main course, it's beyond just studying English. They want to see that you can speak English which I'm not saying it's for me, it's unfair because we speak English, we've learned the rudiments of English language, and someone who has studied 4 years in the university should be able to teach English, but it's not like that in the real world. So even if they're gonna hire you, must prove that you have like maybe 8 or 9 in your IELTS, you've done the teaching English as a foreign language. You know how to travel to do a lot of my certifications in England to prove that I'm Western trained and I speak English well, which that doesn't have to, prove anything, but I had to do it. So if you don't have a degree, if you don't have a diploma, if you don't have a certification, maybe your PGCI, do you have a master's degree in it? So if that is in your CV, that's the first check, that you have something in your certificates that shows that you have done something related to education, right? So, what I'm saying is that I'm not saying the teaching English as a foreign language is not fantastic. What I'm trying to tell you is that it may not give you just that ticket to getting a job abroad as it is at the moment. So the next one is, what are your interests? You've looked at the fact that you have the right certificates to teach, right? What are your interests? Do you want to teach as a subject teacher? Do you want to teach maths or English or science? Do you want to do special educational needs? You may not have a degree in special educational needs, SENCO. However, you could have like a certificate or years of experience. That can also help you, work with a child, maybe a learning assistant with a child, maybe not a full department member. And from there, you can decide to say, oh, I've been able to. Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me? Right. So from there, you can say, okay, I've been able to have one certificate or the other. So are you saying you want to be an homeroom teacher? The homeroom teacher thing is something that for people who don't have a degree in maybe that thing they're teaching, maybe they have a certificate and they have years of experience, because they know that the embassy would not grant you to come and teach in their country if you don't have a degree in that thing you want to teach. So they hide it under the word homeroom teacher. Then, is it educational administration you want to go to? Maybe you want to go to human resource in a school, whatever thing you want to do, maybe child psychology, you have to have a background training in it. Or maybe it's educational leadership, or maybe you just want to do teaching and learning, or you want to do coaching and mentoring. You need to know which aspect of education you want to go to, right? Then the second thing is that your personality really matters if you want to work abroad. All that one that you hit children, you speak to children, you say, shut up. Please, you need to have strength of character. As a teacher abroad, you can't come on social media and say some things. you can't come on. So you have to, if not because, yeah, I'm a decent person naturally, right? But ideally, prior to me coming on social media, most of my accounts are private because you don't want to come on. A lot of teachers have been, you know, sacked or even lost their jobs or even gone to jail. As nice as juicy as the salary is in the US now, they say come and take 90,000 per year or whatever, 100,000 per year or whatever it is you're earning in wherever you're going to. Even teaching assistants now are earning about, you know, minimum of, let's say, $2,000 or maybe thereabout. You know, that's teaching assistants. And you want to understand that it's not just about the money being attracted to you. You can also land yourself in jail if you don't have certain attributes. You don't have self-control. You don't have, you're someone who speaks anyhow. You don't dress properly. You know, you have criminal records. If you have criminal records, you can't work as a child. If you've been dismissed, you can't work as a child worker. If you've been dismissed in your organization prior to now, you know, you may not be able to get a job in a school. If you've had any, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Oh God. Let me continue. So the next thing is, so you need to look at all that. So if you have criminal records, you can't work. So what's your vision and your mission? What do you really want to achieve going into education? That will really help you. So you need to write your philosophy and your vision, what exactly you want to do as a person. It will really help you in your interview. So you're not coming there to say, oh, I'm going into education because that's the only way I want to jackpot or whatever it is, or blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. Then the next thing is, what are the soft skills you have? You need to be an effective communicator because you're going to be working with students and with guys, can you hear me?
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay. So you're going to be working with parents, you're going to be working with stakeholders, you're going to be working with government officials, you're going to be working with a lot of things. Education is very delicate than the way it is in Nigeria. You know, children can say that, they can piss you off. They will say things to you. You have to be able to control yourself. Otherwise, it's going to be a blessing and can also be a curse. So communication, problem solving skills, at least be able to calculate and say, this is what and what it is you need to solve in line with the school's policy. Maybe there's a major issue, you need to speak to your line manager. Your leadership skills, your ability to adapt. You should be able to adapt. Once you get to the place that you need to adapt to technology fast. You need to adapt to policies. You need to adapt to the lifestyle. You know, you don't have to be perfect, but just try to see how you can adapt and know what happens. If you see that your other teachers are doing things in a certain way, please try to seek advice from them. And if you can't, maybe the person is not really approachable or whatever it is, you should have a line manager or someone that you can talk to, basically. Then the next thing is your licenses. Who are you associated with? So if you're having to say you're a teacher and you've never been associated with the TRCN license, the teaching license in Nigeria or the one in Ghana or wherever you're listening to, nobody's going to take you serious. Okay, so maybe your TRCN, maybe your QTS, the qualified teacher status in the UK, or whatever state teaching licenses that you need, for example, maybe in New York or whatever country you're listening to. So you need a license. I'm not saying it's mandatory to have a license. You don't have to have a license to come and teach in the Middle East. What I'm saying is that if you want to teach in top countries like Canada, you know, if you even go to the TRCN website, you see the affiliate where Nigeria is, the TRCN is associated with, you know, in Ontario, in England, in different places. So these people work together. So being licensed by them or the one in your countries shows that you really have interest and they've looked at you, because for them to give you a license number, they've looked at your everything before they can issue that to you. Then the professional bodies that you belong to. I belong to the Teaching and Research Association and in the world. So at some point I was invited to Hungary to come and deliver my master's thesis. So those are the things, you know, apply for all these things It might be now the world has gone digital. So you might be part of an association where you have to deliver an article or something that's related to education or research. You can include that also in your CV. Cambridge assessment as well. If you're teaching with the British curriculum, Cambridge assessment, you need to do all these courses and Pearson, all the small trainings. Even the ones, there are a lot of ones for free that are going to always send you newsletters and all that you can sign up and add it to your CV. And all the trainings you also do at work. For example, if you have been a teacher prior to now, the trainings you do at work, please put it. If you have not also been a teacher, all those small trainings that talks about maybe management, whatever it is, please include that in your CV. You know, the communities and the connections. For example, are you on LinkedIn? Who are you following? Are you following wakawaka.org? Who are you following? You know, all these connections can help you with the right information and whatever you need to do. And be a part of a community as well. On LinkedIn, teachers in the Middle East, teachers in the UK, teachers in Canada. Then also have people who have also gone through that path, and you can also speak to them that, okay, you're going for an interview, you need them to mentor you and tell you what exactly you need to do. Okay, the next one is documents. You need letters of recommendation. So if you've gone through the interview process, you've done your CV, they like everything, they've called you on the phone, right? So they've gone through your CV, they've sent you an email and said to you, we're interested in you. Could you please answer this question? What does mindfulness mean to you? What does quality education mean to you? What does this and what does that mean to you? What do you think about the sustainable development goals? You know, or it could be something that is on the news and they want you to relate it to education. You know, so education is beyond write A for apple or B for ball or add 1 + 1 + 2 abroad. You need to, you know, be vast, you know, in your thinking, your research and all that. So they say to you, answer this question. You've been able to answer the questions, right? You've gone for your interview. You've done very well. The documents that you need is one, you need letters of recommendation, at least. Some call it letters of experience. And some don't collect letters of experience. Some will tell you, like in the US, they'll tell you, yes, you have a letter of experience, which makes a lot of sense. A letter of experience is like a letter that shows that you worked in this school for 2 years. These are the, this was the job description. These were the things that you achieved and how they recommend you for further employment and the dates into which you worked, which was signed and stamped by the school. So if you have that as a letter of, I would rather say have a letter of experience, because you don't know who you will use for, what's it called? Reference. However, if the US, for example, the US would tell you, we don't want, even the UK, they don't want letter of experience. The Middle East is the one that wants letter of experience. They use it mostly. They want an email where they can send like a questionnaire or like an email to your referees. Please look at the referees very well. You must always have somebody in your company that you've worked with before. Maybe the person has moved to another company, it's still fine, but that can still say something good about you. I did a space on LinkedIn optimization as well. Please make sure you listen to it, because LinkedIn as well, you know, all these recommendations from previous staff, from previous colleagues and all that makes a lot of sense. You can reach out to them and say, okay, blah, 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 please and please and please help me to, you know, write a very good recommendation for this job. You need a valid passport, which should not expire in less than 6 months. So if you're telling me, there are a lot of people who have stressed me through recruitment processes and knowing that they don't have a valid passport. You know, you need to have a valid passport that's not expiring in 6 months. Some people tell you they have a passport. Is it valid? It's not valid. Certificate of evaluation. Okay, so, sorry, certificate evaluation. So there are 2 ways. Certificate evaluation in the Middle East means that you have to go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of Education, and the embassy of the country you're going to attest your documents, right? To attest your documents. However, for the US, you need to evaluate your documents. US and Canada, you need to evaluate your documents, which is done by WES or IEE. That states that you've gone through this, you've gone through that, whatever your degree equivalency is, should be, you know, written in the document, and the person who evaluated it also will sign it there. Now, some countries require that you have tests of English. In the Middle East, for example, the UAE is not giving visas to Nigerians, but if you're working in a government school, yes, you're able to get a job in a government school. And if you're working with maybe a freelance organization as well, Yes, you can. So if you're working in a government school, you can always get a job as a Nigerian and go to the Middle East. The only clause there is that you need to have your IELTS and a very good score to teach any subject you want to teach. So some require IELTS. For the US, you don't need IELTS, especially if you're not teaching English. So we've done the attestation of results. You have done your, I would rather not say don't just do attestation like that. You can do your evaluation because evaluation is the same. But attestation has to do with the countries you're going to. So until you're ready to go to that country, then you can do your attestation. But make sure you have your valid passport and your letters of experience or letter of recommendation. Criminal records. The police in your country has to verify with a certificate saying, which will also be attested by the embassy, saying that you have not been part of any criminal activity. For the US, it may not be mandatory to go to get a criminal certificate. Then for some countries, they may say you have to do medicals before you leave. Some countries don't. Like Canada, you may have to do medicals. US, you don't need to do medicals. Middle East, you have to do medicals. So now the next thing is, what are the skills that make you stand out? Please, you will get there and it's as if everything is like a rush coming to your face, especially when they don't ask you to do a lesson presentation. So if they're not asking you to do a lesson presentation, you're only doing interview on Zoom. They don't know whether you can use all these learning management systems like Sims or maybe Zoom or Google Classroom or even PowerPoint or even Word or even Canva or maybe Class Dojo. All these apps, you need to learn to use them. You can Google and say, what are the apps that I use in schools, and try to see how you can use them to, teach. But if you can use Zoom, you can use Zoom for a presentation. I think you should be able to, settle in when you get to where you're going to. So now, if you're asked to do a lesson plan, for example, the US will definitely ask you to do a lesson plan after a phone call, after the questions they'll ask you via email where you need to reply. They tell you to do a lesson plan or a lesson presentation. So your lesson plan has to be SMART, which is whatever you're trying to do, it has to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So in the next 40 minutes, for example, you can say, I want to teach the children how to do this, how to do that. You start with, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is this, then you bring it down, blah, blah, blah. You also need to teach. The world now is not just about teaching maths, but through your math skills, are you teaching them social, emotional skills? Are you teaching them collaborative skills? What I mean by collaborative in sense that your lesson has to show that the children are coming together to work together, to come up with a piece of work. So that's what education is about at the moment. Is your teaching differentiated in terms of, are you having to include people that are not doing well in class, like the very good one or the not good ones or the one that's still coming up? So your lesson has to portray that you are bringing everyone together to actually achieve that goal. What your English, how do you speak English properly? Do you pronounce your word properly? And also a bit of cultural examples in your class. The world wants diversity, globalization in education, in trade. So that has to reflect in what you do, even in employment. So is it relevant to them? So even if you're teaching them maths, let the examples be, I went to the market to buy one apple and added the apple together, blah, blah, that kind of thing that shows relevance and their daily life. And then you need to assess your learning at the end of the lesson. So your lesson presentation has to have the beginners, the objective, whatever assessment strategies you want to use, and to check if the children have actually learned what they need to learn. So now, the interview questions may be like this. They can tell you what's your philosophy of education, or they might tell you that, have you heard of this person in education that talked about this philosophy about blah, blah, blah. Or it might be something that's right now, maybe they say, the sustainable development goals in the world is talking about quality education or the inequalities in education at the moment due to the pandemic. What's your opinion about it? So you should be able to say, okay, yes, the pandemic has been able to affect education in one way or the other because a lot of people in Africa who do not have access to the internet, they only listen to radio, blah, 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 just chip in one or two things, and you need to also show that you've learned about education. So you may not study education in school, but do your research. What is quality education? Who are the philosophers in education? And what's the world talking about quality education now? What is child development? You know, you need to research. And there are some key words in education that will reflect in your CV, like differentiation, like special educational needs, like culture, like inclusion, like diversity. These are words that would make the recruiter want to hire you into education, like quality education, you know, like interpersonal skills, like leadership skills, like literacy. Those are the keywords that would make you. And then you also need to show that you've been able to help students in one way, whether it's not physical, whether it's online, whether it's one way, but you've been able to impact knowledge in one way or the other. That should reflect in your CV and in your interview process. So we've been able to establish that your CV has relevant experience. You've done trainings, no matter how small the training, even if the training did not give you a certificate, as long as this training I'm telling you is a CPD for you, you can include it in your CV. Education, your awards, your interests as well. You also need to reflect that you have a work-life balance, which is you're not always working, but you're a happy person, because only happy people that would teach children in a happy way and, you know, and would not reflect their anger or whatever it is. So you need to show that you relax through photography, through swimming. Like today I went to the gym. My friends still want me to, you know, go to that with them to the swimming pool, you know, and hang out and stuff like that. So you need to have all that. And your CV, for me, I like to put icons in my CV. So there's a part that says my skills in my CV. I just put the skills icon. It has to be colorful. You don't need to put your picture. You know, it has to be colorful. It has to be nice. It has to meet face validity. What I mean by face validity and fact validity is that everything you have on your CV is on LinkedIn. Everything you have on your CV is what you say. You not say another thing when they're interviewing you. And the face validity means that it looks good in the face. When they see it, they want to look at it. Don't use too many bright colors because you're a teacher. Don't use childish fonts because you're a teacher. It doesn't, you know, show that you're a professional. But you just need to make it catchy and nice. So we're rounding up. So basically, before your interview, make sure you research the school, research the people in the school, who is the principal, research the country, whether it's in England you're going to, whether it's Montreal you're going to, wherever you're going to, research the school, research the environment, research your philosophy of education, research what the governor of the state, whether it's New York, what vision do they have for education for that year or for his tenure, whatever it is. All those things will inform your keywords while you're speaking. Research about the country, about the culture, about the capacity of students you're teaching. The marks you should be able to have in a class is 32, you know, so just find out. Then the curriculum, are you teaching the American curriculum, the British curriculum, the Canadian curriculum, the Montessori curriculum? You need to find out that before your interview. What assessments do they take? Do they take the Cambridge exams? Do they take the LSAT or whatever they take? You need to find out about that. And then you also need to find out about the salary. What salary expectation are you looking at? And that will also help you get informed. So that's all you need to know. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback, kindly please, you know, request for the mic. If you need to send your CV to me, recruitmentswithchase@gmail.com. Please follow me on LinkedIn and on Instagram at Lola MFL. MFL means Modern Foreign Languages. Now, I'm going to stop the recording and say one or two things. What I'm going to say now is that if you'd like to